on to our next topic. So I see you guys are obviously in stunt, and one thing, and I'm going to kind of veer off real fast. I have a really good friend who does acro, and she's at the University of Baylor, and this is something that I literally just popped up into my head. I was like, I'd like to know your take on the difference between stunt and acro. I've gone to an acro competition. I've watched a stunt competition. They're very similar. But obviously from someone who's consistent in the sport. And by the way, congratulations. NCAA has announced that stunt is now a sport. So thank you, cheer gods. Thank you. Recognize. But where would you say are some of the differences, just for those who don't know and don't get to see it as often? What do you say are the differences between stunt and acro?
Oh, man. I would say it's a little closer related to cheerleading. Again, just my opinion. I think just from the techniques used in the routines, the order of skills in the routines, just closer related to something that a cheerleader would have grown up doing, whether that's all-star or high school. The stunt combinations, the jump approaches and stuff like that. Definitely closer. But then what I loved about it is that it's just like acro is. It's really pushing technique. It's really pushing execution. And I think that's so important for both sports. Whether you're coming from cheerleading or gymnastics background, wherever you're coming from, that's important, and it's becoming more important in both of those. I think because of our two sports that we're developing right now, cheerleading and acro.
So what was your main decision that got you into stunt? And what did you learn? What have you learned from the sport of stunt so far?
Well, it's funny. When I assisted at the University of Central Oklahoma, I'll never forget this super short story. Brent Steele and I and David Owens, Brent and I are coaching with David, and stunt nationals used to be in Daytona, and we did it because we knew it was a great opportunity for females. It was not as developed at the time, and it was on our end, we didn't know what we were doing training it necessarily. We knew execution had to happen. It just wasn't as advanced yet. But I remember we had won the Division II all-girl division at NCA my year I coached, and we had gone to dinner, whatever. We're like hanging out, and then we're like, oh shoot, we have stunt nationals. We're like, should we wear a polo? Should we wear it was just so
what's the dress attire? How do we look?
What do we do? And then so we go, it was inside. It was outside one time. This year it was inside. And I remember as the game went on, we were playing OCU, Oklahoma City University there. And as it was getting tighter and it was tense and the score was close, and it came down to the final fourth quarter round. And I just remember that's when we were all like, oh, we get it. We could have done this a whole lot better. We get it. We won stunt nationals that year. But I remember that was the year that we were kind of like, oh, this is what this is. We should take this more serious. We should train this way. But we all have those moments where we're like, oh, okay.
Those learning moments.
And so, from then, whenever I wasn't at UCO, and I was at other colleges and such, I was doing a lot of stunt judging. So I was involved in that, and I got to see that development side of it. I was doing a lot of high school judging. I just tried to stay involved because I knew whatever it was going to be, that it was really great for females. And I'm passionate about female education and female opportunities. And so that's all I really knew. And I just knew I wanted to stay involved and help how I could. And I watched new programs add in before I was at OBU. So whenever I started OBU, it really wasn't a question. I still was learning about it. I was still, growing with it, but I knew that this was going to be the new next thing. And I knew that we needed to offer it. That's really it, because it created such awesome opportunities for kids. And at that time, stunt in Oklahoma high schools was becoming a really big deal.
Right.
So, obviously that being a recruiting tool, but also seeing the high schools buy in, I wanted every college in Oklahoma to buy in, to be that example. So since then, we've hosted Oklahoma High School Stunt State every year. I encourage my juniors and seniors to go through the training and to go, officiate for stunt. And so I try to stay as involved as I can, especially with my kids as well, just to show them all the opportunities. We've had some kids interview for stunt positions for new colleges. I just want to, create that opportunity for anybody that wants it. And so it's fun to say that OBU, there's definitely earlier adopters to stunt than OBU, but still, I mean, the second that I pitched it, they were like, okay, let's do it. And, they have continued that. They're excited. And, starting last year at OBU, we followed all of CARA guidelines. We sit through all the training that all the athletes sit through, and CARA is the amount of hours that the kids can practice every week and stuff like that. Yeah. So, and that's a cool part about what I was able to do at OBU is that from the second we started this, we are under athletics and these kids are treated like athletes. So our program is fully funded 100%. All of their anytime we go to nationals, flights, entry fees, clothing, of course, things like that. They're given per diem while they're there for food. I mean, I always compare it to a baseball team, scholarship wise, we have awesome scholarships. And I'm proud that, again, like a baseball team, I say you have to have that star pitcher. You have to have that runner. You have to have that quarterback. And you have to have that in cheerleading too. You have to have your key pieces to build that routine around for stunt or an NCAA routine. And so I'm able to scholarship that way as well. So anyway, stunt was just an extension of all these opportunities that I was trying to create. And so we jumped in from the first year. You have to figure out stunt a little bit. Your kids have to buy in. At first, I think our first year, the kids were like, what is this? Why do I have to walk like this? Why do I have to be it was just like,
robotic.
I always tell coaches, just get through the first 2 years. You're going to hate it. You're going to lose. It's okay.
You're going to hate it. You're going to lose.
Absolutely. I'm so raw about it. Like but once they play those first couple of games, even if they aren't winning yet, they're like, oh my gosh, this is head to head.
Yeah.
This is competitive. They start to buy in, but to really create that stunt culture, it takes time. And I want people to understand that. Because it takes time. But like anything, you have to develop it. You have to develop those expectations. And we lost our first 2 years. We made it to stunt nationals. We beat the right people to get there. But
there you go.
It's really these last 2 years where we've been able to go, okay, the ball's in our court. We're gonna start being for sure we're gonna hit every routine, and we're not modifying any routines. That takes time. So just like I'm sure with acro, it takes time to get there.
What do you think you've learned a little bit more from stunt that you may not have learned from a regular, 2-minute, 30-second, or 2-minute, 15-second routine?
Just a reminder of how important progressions are in any sport. A reminder of technique over everything, technique and execution over everything. It creates a lot of self-discipline within the kids as well. Something that kids don't realize when they get to college is how much, not only cheerleading and your skills are on you at that point. We're going to be here to cheer you on and make you do your 5 or, whatever. Right. But your execution becomes on you to a certain point. Your life choices in college become on you. Mom isn't there anymore, and we're not there to hold your hand either, So stunt really, really brings that home for people because, if you go out there and you're in the level 7 stunt and it's just your stunt out there and you go out there to compete and, you hit it, but you had a bobble, you had some feet move, your high V was a count off or whatever. It's you. It's
the totally smallest of details.
You had the 8 count sheets. You saw the videos. We of course coached you along the way and pushed you and held you accountable, but it's on you. And so I think that, those all added into the equation and it takes time to learn those things, but it's so good for kids to learn those things in college. And I think stunt helps that a lot.
When I was, had a podcast with Kevin Toner of Woodlands Elite, and one thing he said that I thoroughly enjoyed, I was asking him, is Woodlands Elite Generals one of their teams? Is it hard to make? Can anybody make that team? And his answer was, anyone can do anything they put their mind to, but this team is different, and you have to be able to look in the mirror and look at that person and say, hey, I made that mistake today, or I need to get better, and I need to push myself. And I think that's such a great message, because a lot of times, even in the all-star realm or high school realm, when the coach has to be that figure and has to relay that message, sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow. You know what I mean? But the sooner coaches do that and keep athletes accountable, like you're talking about, the better. The sooner you do it, the better. And I think, and you said it earlier, you're raw with it.
Yep.
I think that's the way to go. I think when we take too much time to baby the athletes, I don't care the age, I don't care the level of skill, but being clear and direct with them is, to me, is always number one, and will always build a successful athlete and a successful team. And obviously y'all are moving in that direction. You're definitely moving in that direction. I don't know if you noticed, but you see the color of the shirt today?
Oh, you're wearing green. Bison green.
I made sure. I was like, I'm going to represent hardcore. And now when I go to Daytona, I'm going to come look for you guys. I'm going hardcore. I'm like,
better, yeah.
yeah.